So welcome. We're, I think, in week 4 of our living in the bunker, as they say, and we're taking one day at a time because that is a big question that comes up day in and day out. How long is things going to last? And the best solution to that is what's called distress tolerance. The idea of distress tolerance is that sometimes in life you're able to change things, sometimes you can't change things. So with the understanding that if I have distress out of my control, how do I tolerate it in a positive way? So that's kind of what I would like to share today. This is from my DBT book by Kathy Moonshine. You can find her online. I went to a conference of hers. She's very good. And in this activity, she uses a few things to keep in mind. One is activities, and in activities, she's talking about things like reading, exercising, watching TV for some people, maybe doing something fun. In my brief this past month, people have discovered things that they hadn't discovered before, learning a new technology skill on the computer, people taking classes on YouTube on how to dance or how to play piano. There's a lot of things you can learn from YouTube. What we're finding in learning something new as well is the release of dopamine in the brain. It's kind of interesting. When you're learning something new, the dopamine is released. You get that feel-good chemical in the brain, and I've encouraged clients to do that. Contributions. Can I do something for myself and maybe for a neighbor? Or maybe something in your surroundings? A lot of clients I've talked to said, well, they cleaned out a flower bed and they realized an elderly neighbor needed help in cleaning that out, and they went ahead and helped their neighbor. What a great thing. The idea of contributions, helping people in the area, donating blood, for example, helping a person that is afraid to go to the store right now, especially an elderly neighbor or a person who has immune problems. And I've seen a lot of examples of that, not only on the news, but locally. Choices. This is a big thing, and I heard a wonderful program recently on the radio, and they were interviewing different experts, and they hearkened back to Viktor Frankl's book on the man's search for meaning. He wrote that book after he survived the concentration camp in World War II. And Viktor Frankl was a Viennese psychiatrist, and he survived the Holocaust. And he wrote the whole book about his experiences living in a concentration camp. And he said, well, they took everything from me, my family, my money, my everything, my dignity, but they never took away my ability to choose. They never took away his will to meaning, which is very important. So choices, can I choose my thoughts, how I feel about things? Can I choose my behaviors wisely? And that's the opposite of a person who says, I can't do anything. Actually, you can do some things. Can I choose to go for a walk or not? Yes or no? Can I still choose to take my medication today? Yes or no? You still can choose that. So to be mindful of what a person is choosing. And of course, emotions. How can I improve my positive emotions? Maybe it's a song or a joke. That is always important. A lot of people will say, well, I don't have control over my emotions. The answer is that's only partially true. Because sometimes the emotions come upon us like a wave, but they're going to leave like a wave too. But in the short term, what are things that put a person in a good mood? Going for a walk or a jog or a good exercise, those are all things. Or having a joke or a song with somebody, calling an old friend, for example. Recently, I learned how to use Zoom, and only because my daughter showed me how to do that with family get-togethers over Easter. And I was told that apparently that Zoom has existed for some time. Never knew it, but it was fun to see people in that way. How about pushing away? Pushing away means, can I push away things that are stressful? Okay. And this harkens back to many advice that I've read so far is watching the news or listening to it is helpful to know what's going on. But a person watching the news 24/7, they've been finding they're getting more paranoid and they're really obsessing about the news cycle, as I say. So be careful about watching too much news. Thoughts. Can I shift my thoughts into maybe something positive? You know? What are some good things going on? Something enjoyable, maybe. Maybe it could be gardening. You know, it could be learning something new, for example. Okay. Making plans for the summer or the fall. Those are enjoyable thoughts. One of my clients says, Dr. Phil, I have to go to my happy place. And I said, what does that mean? He said, well, I think about positive things in the future. And I said, that's always a good thing to keep in mind. At the same token, being grounded in today, how can I use that imagery in a positive way, just for today? Sensations is the last one here, the idea of getting grounded in how you're feeling in your body. This is a great mindful technique where a person, they focus on their breathing, for example. And it could be very brief, it could be doesn't have to be fancy or a fancy meditation, but how the person is feeling in the body is so important. The opposite of that is trying to rush through things. I can't wait for this to be over. You know, it's going to be great in the future. Those are all nice positive images, and I can think about those in a good way. But I can't lose focus of today. You know, do I have any guarantee about 5 years from now? I don't. But what can I do today to make it better? Am I grateful for being alive today, for example? What are things that I can notice now that maybe I hadn't noticed several times, maybe even years ago? And those are all important. Can we talk about AA? And in AA, our friends from AA talk about that serenity prayer. This is very similar to that, isn't it? Can I take control of things that are within my control, and some things out of my control, I'm going to leave those alone. And then there's always wisdom that will take, as it were, to understand the difference between the two. And that is so important. Let me take a look at certain writings. You know, the reflection for today from the Old Testament was encouragement. And from Proverbs we read that an encouraging word is like a honeycomb, which is very sweet and encouraging and nourishing. It's good for the bones, actually, the translation. And what a great word about encouragement. Now, encouragement is free. We can give it to one another. And that is so encouraging. It's a lot better than criticism. You know, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this? How come you had to do it this way? But yet that encouragement is so refreshing. Okay? And many of you might be too young to remember honeycomb cereal, but that's the only reason I knew what a honeycomb was, because they had cereal shaped like a honeycomb. Years later, I realized what a honeycomb was. That's from an actual bee, and they make it in a beehive, I guess you would say. But it's very pure. Pure honey is supposed to be really good for you as well. Try to eat it when I can. Pour it on cereal, whatever it might be. But what a great, I guess the important thing isn't so much actual honey, although it's good for you, but encouragement. What a great metaphor, encouragement. How can we do that? And at Portage Path, many of us make a living in encouraging. And sometimes we need encouragement from other people as well. It's been encouraging from many of our clients who ask how we're doing. You know, and happy to say we're doing well, and we can't wait to have you guys come in person. But until then, we're going to practice these skills on our website. We have several videos now. We're hoping to maybe have some groups online too, so keep watching the website. So I look forward to everyone seeing you again in person, and everyone have a nice day. Thank you.